We all want to reach our goals, and often we look at successful people and wonder, how did they achieve theirs? Well, most of the time, it comes down to the ability to outwork everyone else. And this ability is a combination of work ethic and time management. Therefore, in this video, we'll explore how we can improve our time management, increase our productivity, and consequently get more shit done. Whether you're a student, a professional, an entrepreneur, or simply somebody that wants to make the most of their time, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's get started. Before you can manage your time effectively and get more stuff done, you have to have these things clear. First, you have to know what you are currently doing with your time. The easiest way to find out is by asking yourself, how much time do you need to prepare food and eat? How much time do you spend going from one place to the other? And how much time do you spend sleeping? Add it all up and you'll see how much of your time is blocked by these standard activities and also how much spare time you have per day. And now we'll think about how you spend those spare hours. And I'm sure you will find something, some activity that you know is a waste of time. And since we want to achieve our goals, we should aim to replace these time-wasting activities with purposeful ones. Thus, the second prerequisite is that you know what you need to do to achieve your goals. What are the means to your end? So if you want to get in shape, you have to work out in the gym or do some kind of other sports activity. And if you want amazing grades, you will probably have to study more. Anyways, now that you have all of this clearly defined, you can start managing your time properly and as a result, achieve your goals. So here are the methods that work for me that I can strongly recommend. The basis to good time management is planning, and you should do this in advance. You can either do it in the evening for the next day or in the morning when you wake up. However, in this case, planning does not mean setting strict individual time frames for your tasks. You shouldn't say, I will write an essay from 6 to 8, then from 8 to 9:30 I will go to the gym, then from 9:30 to 10:30 I will cook and eat, and then from 10:30 to 11 I will read half an hour, and then I'll go to sleep. Because on one side, if your task takes longer than expected, you will either not finish all of your tasks, or you will have to delay your whole plan and then go to sleep at 1 or 2 in the morning. And on the other side, if something takes less time, you will end up wasting your spare time in between tasks. You'll think, oh, I finished 20 minutes earlier, so I guess I can just scroll through social media until my next task. To avoid this, instead of planning strictly, you should plan by having a list of all the things you want to achieve today, or for that matter, tomorrow. A simple to-do list. Or maybe not so simple, because there's a big difference between a to-do list and a good to-do list. If you want to create a good to-do list, you should make sure that your daily goals are specific and measurable. Let's say you want to read every day. In this case, it is crucial that you attach a numerical value to your goal. So instead of just writing down reading as a to-do, write down reading 20 pages, reading 2 chapters, or reading 45 minutes. Now, apart from setting your goals numerically, you should also make sure that you set more goals than you think you can achieve in a day. Because this will keep you busy on the right track and it will help you understand where you can still improve your efficiency. At the end of the day, you should always be asking yourself, why didn't I manage to do everything? And by critically thinking about it, you will find flaws and mistakes. And trust me, it would also be a big mistake to avoid these next steps. So make sure to watch until the end of the video. Anyhow, now you have your big list of well-formulated to-dos, so what you should do next is determine which tasks have priority. To do this, you can use the Eisenhower matrix. This matrix is divided into 4 categories: important and urgent, important but not urgent, not important but urgent, and not important and not urgent. If it is important and urgent, you should do it before anything else. In the case of important but not urgent tasks, you should compare it to the urgent but not important tasks and give the important but not urgent tasks priority as long as possible. So basically, importance goes over urgency. And while the non-important and not urgent tasks, just set them aside for later. In short, you can use this matrix to decide which tasks fall under which category, and then you should act accordingly. And acting accordingly is actually one of the more difficult parts. This is because important tasks tend to be more difficult, and while our brains are wired to prefer the easy and comfortable things. So you have to actively force yourself to stick to your priorities. I also think it is very important to stick to your personal development goals. So if you are working on a personal project or on yourself as a person, I can strongly recommend setting deadlines for yourself. Because if a task is not imposed by your parents, your university, your school, or your job, well, you will have less incentive to work on that task and get it done as soon as possible. And this is mainly due to a lack of consequences if you don't finish your work. I mean, if you're in school and you forget your homework for your math class, you will probably get a bad grade. But if you decide not to educate yourself with the book, well, no one will cause any trouble. Naturally, so that these deadlines that you set up for yourself are effective, you really have to try to finish before the deadline and be self-disciplined. And now, before you think you can outsmart the system and set up a deadline once you're 73 years old, let me tell you that you should set up deadlines that are really not easy to achieve. One reason for this is Parkinson's law. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So if you set a deadline for 3 days, it will take you at least 3 days to complete it. But if you set a deadline for 1 day, you might not be done after 1 day, but after 2, which is still less than 3. Make it nearly impossible, or even set a deadline that you know you won't reach and work as if that deadline brings consequences. Because like it or not, in the long term, there are always consequences. Sticking to your priorities and personal deadlines is already very difficult, but it can become even worse if you don't know how to say no. Learning to say no is very important in many aspects of our lives, but in this case, it comes down to prioritizing your own schedule. So if someone asks you to do something for them, prioritize your schedule and only if it fits, help them out. And also, if you already agreed to do something, but in the end it messes up your schedule, don't be afraid to back out. Okay, so finally we have completed our to-do list and it's sorted by urgency. Yay! But now we have to take action. And this is where most people fail. You can plan as much as you want, but if you don't actually put in the work, it will be worth nothing. However, if you are putting in the work, make sure not to get blocked by the huge misconception that multitasking works. Let me tell you, our brains simply don't function like that. When you multitask, you're essentially not working on multiple things at once, but constantly shifting your focus from one thing to the other, 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 and to the other, impeding you from working fully focused because of the constant change. Therefore, you should place all of your focus on one thing, and once that is done, continue with the next one. A last thing you should not forget is to take breaks in between or during tasks. This is dependent on how your brain functions, but occasionally taking a break is only beneficial to your productivity. Now, I really want to make sure that you understand that a break means a break. A break should be something that relaxes your mind, so you could meditate, stretch, take a nap, go for a walk, or even work out. Whatever works best for you. But what you shouldn't do is use your break to do something that requires mental capacity, like checking social media or doing a minor task. I have to admit, I myself sometimes fail at taking effective breaks. For instance, when I'm editing or studying for university and I decide to take a break, I usually end up either checking my emails or checking my WhatsApp messages. Anyways, now you're probably wondering when exactly is the right moment to take a break from working. And well, as for many things that have to do with our brains, it is different for everybody. I usually take a break after a specific amount of input. So when studying, after X amount of pages or exercises, and when editing, after I finish a key moment in the video. Before I used this method, I would usually go for something similar to the Pomodoro technique, so maybe work 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. In short, it really depends on how long you can work focused, which you do get better at through practice. In conclusion, managing your time efficiently requires self-reflection, goal setting, planning, and prioritization. The first step is to identify how you currently spend your time and to define your goals. Once you have that, instead of planning strictly, make a to-do list with measurable and specific tasks. And then evaluate which tasks have priority and do them in descending order. Now, I know that it sometimes might seem that we don't have time to do plenty of things, but actually we do have time. We just don't make time. That's right, you and only you are able to choose what you want to do with your time. Naturally, we have responsibilities set by our parents, institutions, or jobs. But if you think about it, nobody can really force you to do something. So saying you don't have time basically translates to it's not your priority. If your 16-hour day goes by and 2 of those hours you spent watching Netflix, you can't say you didn't have time to work out. You had time, but you actively chose to watch Netflix instead. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you learned something new. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe. It means more than you think. So go chase your goals and take control of your time. And remember, the bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. See you next time.